Hey you, did you know that I stream on this YouTube channel? Well, now you do. Each Sunday I go live, usually playing some absurd challenge runs on racing games and talking with everyone about cars and other things. I am certain most of my subscriber base isn't aware of my streams, which are stored as pods on this channel as well, which could be a good watch for you all while waiting for new videos. YouTube doesn't promote them either, so I recommend that you join my Discord server, which you can find in the description of this video. I made you check your real Discord, didn't I? You will be notified each time I go live and you'll meet new people in the process. So remember, Sunday at the following times on screen I stream at this channel. I also stream on weekdays, but those are less predictable, so you should join my Discord server to be up to speed. With that said, I hope you enjoy the next video. Before Need for Speed, there was Test Drive, a racing game franchise with a rocky history thanks to its inconsistent quality. It wasn't until 2006 that the series found its footing with the release of Test Drive Unlimited, rising from the ashes of its troubled past. Recently, the name Test Drive Unlimited has resurfaced in the gaming community thanks to an upcoming new release after years of silence. Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown, which is set to release on September 2024. Given this renewed interest, it seems fitting to revisit the roots of the series and experience the original Test Drive with all of you once again. Then I realized that whenever I think about this game, I am referring to its PlayStation 2 release because it's the one I always played. Most people who make videos or retrospectives about this game focus on the PC or Xbox 360 versions, which, due to the servers being down for years, offer a more limited experience. While those versions boast prettier graphics, character customization, missions such as car deliveries and hitchhikers, additional cars, key among them Ferrari, I found they feel more grindy and repetitive than the PS2 ports. And no, it doesn't matter how many cars you add to the PC release through mods, this issue still remains. Looking past the lower frame rate and graphical fidelity, the PS2 version of TDU delivers an experience which deserves its place on the spotlight. So put on your swimsuit and sunglasses, I am taking you all to Hawaii with my totally legitimate funds, which weren't a product of selling drugs, even if that might be your first thought after seeing these cars. Seriously, which sort of place in the world has rental agencies with these rosters? Even today these cars are excellent. Any rental agency with a 4GT deserves my respect. However, I have chosen the cheapest option available, this SLK55 AMG. Quite frankly, it doesn't matter which car you choose because this is a brief tutorial which introduces most game mechanics in less than 10 minutes, starting with a simple race and following with the good stuff, buying our first car. In most racing games, buying a car is merely a chore before you continue playing. However, in TDU, each brand has its own series of dealerships placed across the map. Stepping into them is a nice experience as you are treated to a brief glance before browsing through their available models. These vehicles are a part of the world, waiting to be bought. They aren't abstractly placed on a cold menu, as it's often the case in many racing games. Physical dealerships are a nice touch, but what makes buying cars a special occasion is creating your own spec. Most manufacturers offer various options for their cars, a detail often overlooked by other racing games. While choosing exterior colors is common, picking different interior trims and OEM rims is not, and these options weren't picked at random, they were offered by the actual manufacturers of these cars. There's also small details, such as certain interior colors being available with specific exterior colors, allowing you to create multiple specs of the same car or recreate your dream car, just as you will order it from a dealership. This experience is unique to TDU and hasn't been replicated by any other franchise. It is amusing how most racing games reduce cars to mere tools for achieving goals, despite them being the centerpiece of the gameplay. In TDU, these details elevate the cars to being the main characters, as they should be. Your cars are often chosen based on aesthetics and personal preferences, rather than purely on performance or competitive viability. Personally, my first car is always the Alfa Romeo GT V6, in blue with a tan leather interior. Quite a good looking spec if I say so myself, but not as good looking as you after smashing the like button. And you look even better if you subscribe and click the notification bell. I am trying to reach 10,000 subscribers, and while the channel has grown, YouTube has stopped recommending my videos, and especially my live streams, to my own viewers, which has harmed the channel substantially in recent times. I would appreciate if you could help me to counteract these measures by liking this video and subscribing to my channel so you don't miss any videos or streams. Right, back to Fantasyland. Now, sure, you got a fancy new car, which I'm sure you won't keep outside 24/7 exposed to the brutal Hawaiian sun, so you need a place to store store it. No, you can't store it in the void. You need a garage and a home, which requires visiting a real estate agency where different homes are offered for sale. While there aren't infinite options, these homes have their own interiors. Garages are also different depending on the home. With our first current home, the game opens up, allowing us to explore to our heart's content and truly appreciate the vastness of the world around us. This map is a detailed recreation of Oahu, the most populated island in the Hawaiian archipelago. Now, while the map is massive and it should be remarked that it wasn't shrunk down for the PS2, this design choice comes with some setbacks. For one, races and dealerships are spread all over the map, and you have to drive to these locations manually at first. You actually have to plan your route to reach some of these distant locations, which can take several minutes depending on the distance. Your surroundings are relatively bland with nothing particularly noteworthy, and I am convinced this GPS wants to turn every journey into your last. It often directs you into oncoming traffic, making it feel like it wants to murder you. You have to manually switch lanes most of the time to stay safe. While the idea is for cruising to be an enjoyable activity, it can feel slightly tedious at times, especially when your available cars are quite slow. My strategy to mitigate this was to create hubs around different dealerships and events, since you can teleport to them after discovering them. I explored different areas of the map and completed various races as I discovered each section. The game manages this well by making your first home a sort of hub with multiple races scattered around it. Outside traditional races, we got time trials and speed races. These events consist on a series of riders scattered across a route, and one needs to reach an average speed between all of them in order to beat the race. The track design isn't too amusing either, because the map layout of Oahu is quite restrictive. Most of it consists of long, narrow roads with few turns, resulting in races that are primarily straightaways connected by 90-degree corners, with the occasional S-curve. This means there's little learning curves towards these tracks, aside from the strain on your fingers from holding the throttle button for so long. Boring track design is just one aspect of the racing experience. Racing also involves having opponents, but here they often seem to be on a vacation. Fighting for positions isn't common, as you'll usually outmatch the grid with ease. On the rare occasions when I had close races with them, the AI was so unaware of my presence that I didn't want to be anywhere near them. You can choose from 3 difficulty settings, but they don't make a significant difference except in late game events, where the game creates multi-class grids. While this is a cool concept, it can leave you completely outclassed at times, as the leading car may surpass your performance level. Given that TDU's track ecosystem is biased towards top speed and acceleration, there's little to do except bringing a car with a similar pace. Racing isn't the strong point of TDU, and it feels more like a casual activity which people engage in, without any sort of competitive drive, which is fine, but it is a bit of an issue when the main activity of your game is so simple. You find the magic in this game lies on little details such as car clubs. It turns out Oahu is full of different car clubs that will invite you as soon as you buy a car that fits their theme. These clubs are instantly added to your map, so all you have to do is drive there and enter their buildings. Once inside, you'll race against 6 different opponents in simple head-to-head events. As you progress through the ranks, each opponent will have a faster car, with the club presidents usually having the best ones. After beating the president, you will earn their title and often receive a free car upgrade. Some clubs even reward you with a new car that can only be unlocked this way. The only downside to club races is their poor payouts. Single race events offer much better rewards and are the preferred method for grinding. However, there's another set of events available that are quite important. If you pay attention, you might notice races marked with a green icon instead of the traditional light blue. These events could be described as a series of races. They unlock progressively as you win, and completing this series typically rewards you with a new car, which is delivered to your garage and cannot be bought until these races are completed. It turns out there are 3 of these series unlocked at the start of the game, each one providing a prize car which will come in handy, but some require traveling and can be easy to miss if you don't know what you're looking for. One of them consists of time trials that will reward you with a Lotus Elise 111R. I assume most people will do Rookie Speed series first, since it's not far from our early game hub. This first race is noteworthy because it features 4 radars positioned around a small square, making it a bit of a routing challenge. It may take a few attempts to master, as building the speed required in such a short distance while managing a tight time limit is difficult. Winning all 5 races in this series rewards you with the keys to an AC-289, a car that often lives in the shadow of its more powerful sibling, the 427. Then there's Grad Class, a 3-race series which rewards you with a Cadillac XLR, and I just noticed that all the cars that I have gotten so far are convertibles, cars, which totally suit the laid-back experience. Screw structural rigidity, I want to look good. While some might picture a certain racing game in the horizon after receiving so many cars, the reality is that there aren't many events which give you new cars, and they can be completely ignored if one so desires. I wouldn't though, as each one of these cars can be used to complete different clubs and they belong to different classes. Cars in TDU are divided into 5 different classes, ranging from E being the lowest to A being the highest. Each class includes a fair number of vehicles. While this classification system is common among racing games, it has an issue where performance can vary slightly among cars within the same class, and TDU isn't the exception. Since most races consist of long straightaways, a car with lower acceleration and top speed will struggle against faster cars, despite the AI's shortcomings. This issue becomes more noticeable during the endgame, as Class A cars exhibit significant performance differences, leading to some challenging situations. You will have to wait a couple of hours to experience the worst side of TDU due to its ranking system. There are 5 different rankings to climb through: Rookie, which is the starter ranking, Amateur, Pro, Expert, and Master. As you reach a new rank, more races unlock. Interestingly, each rank serves as a barrier for each class of cars. For example, Rookie events are primarily for Class E cars, while Amateur events are for Class D cars. This system effectively addresses common complaints about the lack of progression in racing games, as each class has enough events to keep things engaging. Despite events being somewhat designated by your ranking, the game doesn't ban you from buying cars from different classes. You could be a rookie and grind the 160,000 credits required to buy a Jaguar XJ220. Remember when nobody liked these things? I surely do. And rather than keep it on your garage gathering dust until you reach Master rank, where more events designated for A-class cars appear on the map, you can use it for different club events or some events without class restrictions, which are limited across the map, but they do exist. But how do you reach a new ranking? You need a certain amount of Master points. These are awarded to you by virtually existing. Driving to the map gives you points. I reached Amateur rank while driving to a car club really far away, and I only managed to record the strings of club invitations granted by my new car, a Shelby GT500. Podium finishes on any race will give you points, drifting, airtime, or slipstreaming as well. While it's easy to gain points, races grant them in a way where it just takes enough of them to reach a new rank. In reality, you will always have races left over whenever you reach the following one. It doesn't feel grindy, but it doesn't feel like you'll be racing the best cars available after the first 5 races. As you drive faster cars, you'll start to get familiar with this game's physics, or lack thereof. Driving in TDU isn't exactly advanced or complex, it's pure arcade. There is no weight transfer or body roll to manage. There's no manual gearbox option on PS2 either. Cars don't oversteer, but they can burn a substantial amount of rubber on first gear if they are powerful enough and traction control is disabled. Cars don't really understeer either, you're just going too fast for a corner. If you have an ounce of common sense while driving, you'll be fine. Well, that's what I will say if you were alone in Oahu, but you aren't the only driver in this island. You are surrounded by traffic cars at every single moment. They are hard to avoid given Oahu's roads are quite narrow, and it all becomes a matter of when you'll crash against one of these NPCs on their daily commute, and they happen to be quite troublesome thanks to TDU's physics. The faster you go, the more unpredictable these crashes become. I honestly believe traffic in these games is used as a means of artificial difficulty. Think about it, the only requirement to master the vast, endless straightaways is ticking the little box which says cruise control whenever you buy a new car. Right, you can do that in TDU. However, there's no track layouts to master here, and your opponents seem to be working part-time, and they call in sick most of the week, so your only challenge in quotation marks is managing these traffic spawns and holding your lead despite the accidents, which isn't too hard really. This is a game where I find myself collecting cars rather than anything else, because it's the only thing I truly want. Probably the best example is the fact that I wanted to drive the Mercedes-Benz CLK DTM for the Mercedes Challenge, a set of races which reward me with a SL300 Gullwing. Thing is, in order to own a CLK DTM, I need to become the president of the German car club first, but I haven't been invited to this club because I don't own any German cars, so I bought a CLS 55 AMG with a beige exterior and a white leather interior with wood accents, an outstanding spec, and anyone who disagrees is completely wrong. With my new Super Saloon, I have been invited to the German car club, but there is another problem, as this club features a wide range of opponents, which means my hefty CLS 55 is kind of outmatched by the president's car, a Volkswagen W12 concept car. I wonder where I can find one of those. A museum? A dealership? Nah, my local rental agency has me covered. Excellent. excellent. Now I can claim one of the 100 CLK TTMs built for my personal collection. Time to do a couple of races with it and park it at my garage as I start grinding for my next dream car. You find yourself chasing new cars and your garages will fill quicker than you realize, buying new properties across the map on areas which you haven't discovered yet, trying to find the optimal way to grind more money, completing events and clubs. There's a whole lot of clubs in Oahu, really. And while there's a lot of races to complete, I think there are two which can be considered the game's finale. Upon reaching the expert rank, a series called King of the Hill is unlocked. This is a 7-race series with relatively long races compared to the previous ones. By now, TDU is unleashed and will place the fastest cars on the grid relatively frequently when playing on hard mode. I see you, Chrysler 412ME. These 7 races can be challenging, but the reward is vital, being allowed to teleport all over the map, even if you didn't visit these roads before. No longer you'll have to drive 30 kilometers to complete a single race. Oh, yeah, usually in this racing series the game includes a handy teleport feature which brings you automatically into the next race, but it was removed from the King of the Hill. Excellent. The be-all end-all tournament is unlocked after reaching the master rank, called Il Viaggio Grande, a 6 races championship with the longest races in the entire game. We're talking 15 minutes per race as an average, covering massive distances which feel tedious even with the fastest supercars. Races where you'll be exposed to multiple traffic incidents, giving the AI a chance to catch up. My advice for this series is bringing the fastest cars in the game with the respective stage 3 upgrades. Oh, yeah, I didn't talk about upgrades. Each car has 3 different tiers of upgrade packages. Usually the only one which provides a substantial improvement is a stage 3, but TDU being TDU, in order to install an upgrade to your car, you need to find a shop which works on them, which is a nice touch. Alright, back to this torture device disguised as a race. After completing all of these races, including Coastal Dreams, which is the longest race in the entire game, it took me 45 minutes to complete this marathon with a modified Koenigsegg, and trust me, it is quite a chore. Most of these races composed of driving in a straight line and crashing into NPCs. God, I don't want to do this again. The reward is worth it, however, as all of the houses on Oahu will be under your name for free. This little experience in Hawaii has managed to leave a lasting impact in the world of racing games, despite its flaws. Many associate TDU with Forza Horizon, as the latter took some notes from TDU, with its own twist. I find comparing these two is a bit short-sighted, as the experience they provide is completely different. Horizon is an automotive theme park, a place to do absolutely everything with cars, a celebration of them even. It constantly gives you more cars, bombards you with new activities, races, online events. It's not a game with a set path, it's meant to be lighthearted and over-the-top fun. TDU, on the other hand, doesn't play like a traditional racing game. When you pair the driving and racing experience, both are mediocre at best, and yet it happens to be a really fun experience. Well, that's because it works as a lifestyle simulator. You are placed on a beautiful tropical island, surrounded by supercars where your only concern is buying enough homes to keep building your collection. I don't think there's another racing game which manages to deliver the same experience, even in all these years, which is a shame because the sequel, Test Drive Unlimited 2, has vanished from Steam and seems to be difficult to play on PC, which is why I never played it. After TDU2, the franchise kind of disappeared. Well, on April 21st, 2021, a surprise trailer was released for a new Test Drive Unlimited title. There have always been rumors about a new TDU, but nothing substantial was seen until this trailer, which didn't feature any gameplay. What followed were a slew of delays and silence until June 6, 2024. All of us were surprised by an unannounced release. A public beta of Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown was released on Steam. I remember testing this beta on a livestream on my YouTube channel, and after all these years, there are still a couple of aspects where TDU remains unbeaten. Buying cars is the classic TDU experience where we get to choose our own spec, but the process remains unchanged from all these years. I guess the lack of competition is to blame, but I honestly wish they went deeper with this mechanic. While this might sound difficult to execute, I would like to build a complete one-off with option lists taken from each manufacturer, with programs like BMW individual and Porsche exclusive manufacturer existing. It will have been a good way to take advantage of Solar Crown's older car roster. Solar Crown still has some of the issues present on older TDU titles. For one, racing isn't too interesting as the AI tends to be incompetent or outright overpowered. It would be unfair to say Solar Crown is the only game with this issue, however, as Forza titles experience the same flaw with their AI, where their pace is unpredictable. At least there is a hint of racing, as you'll have opponents around you most of the time. Another thing which improves the racing experience is track design, as they are better than previous entries on TDU. Well, slightly. I suppose it all comes down to the change in the scenery, as Solar Crown is set on the city of Hong Kong rather than the tropical islands of Hawaii, while the endless straightaways with nothing around us are gone, so is the beauty of these sunny locations, instead replaced with tall concrete buildings and bright neon signs. Honestly, I've seen a lot of people complain about this change, for one, calling Hong Kong bland or boring, which is fair, but it's not like Oahu had any memorable spots. Can you remember any areas off the top of your head? Yeah, I thought so. I do recognize most buildings seem to be built of the same textures, which might create this feeling of a repetitive environment. I understand some might prefer a sunny island for their car hunting fantasies, but that is a matter of preference rather than an absolute truth. Hong Kong is much smaller than Oahu, which I find works in its favor, as one doesn't have to travel massive distances to reach their events or dealerships. It does make for a nice change of pace on this franchise, and it looks quite pretty at night. What I don't like from a design perspective are the interiors. Dealerships look atrocious, and so does our garage. It all looks like it belongs to a different game, and the hotel room we got, more of the same really. It's disappointing to see the removal of properties across the map. Being restricted to one hotel room doesn't feel the same. It is fun to drive around though. Our physics feel decent outside some quirks, as you could lose grip randomly and enter a spin which you can't recover from. I found the Alpine A110 was really unpredictable with this physics, especially under braking. At the same time, cars seem to be really stiff as they don't experience any body roll. Now that I think about it, a stiff suspension setup will be a reason why these cars feel so unstable. Guess that's a realistic feature, representing modern suspension setups properly. However, recently a video has been released where improved physics have been showcased, so at least they are working on this aspect. You can find this video in the description of this video. There's off-road driving, which feels pretty good in all honesty, the sense of speed is quite solid for an arcade game, and engine sounds are outstanding, truly a highlight of this game. All things considered, it's fun to drive around Hong Kong, and it's relatively easy to comprehend. This isn't a full-blown sim racer. I don't understand why people are trying to frame it as such. I don't understand why you will play this casual, laid-back game with a force feedback steering wheel, but that's just me really. I suppose my problem with Solar Crown is the fact that it sacrificed some of the TDU magic in hopes of attracting a new audience or just changing the formula. The whole clan system where both of them are a laughingstock is completely unnecessary. You can switch factions at any time, and none of them had any exclusive perks outside clothing if I recall. So what's the point? The idea of a festival in the shape of the Solar Crown also feels forced, as a half-baked response to Forza Horizon. Now every game with an open world has to be a festival. They just gave NPC reviewers a reason to turn these two into competitors, without any sort of advantages in the process either, because Solar Crown doesn't have the automatic theme park activities to hold this claim. It plays more like a traditional racing game with an element of sandbox and car collecting. I did notice the gameplay felt kind of grindy in this public beta, so I do hope later events have a better payout, as cars can be really expensive. I saw people constantly use the word progression to describe grinding, and I find they are completely wrong. Progression shouldn't be grinding for credits. Just because Horizon gifts you cars constantly doesn't mean the opposite should be done as a gameplay mechanic. All things considered, from the small sample we got of Solar Crown, I don't think it's a bad game. It's not the best either, for sure. However, all of my good faith will vanish if Solar Crown is released without addressing the atrocious optimization which we witnessed on this beta. I find a lot of the negative responses were caused by these issues, which kept multiple people from playing this game. Of course, there's also the question of Solar Crown being an always online game. Rivers of ink have been spent describing the issues caused by these games by now. I'm still wondering if I will buy it on release, as games are pretty expensive for me right now. I got to pay 60% on taxes on top of the list price. Yeah, I can't afford that right now. But honestly, I'm happy we got another Test Drive Unlimited title, and I hope they deliver a good game for everyone. With that said, it is time to thank everyone who made it this far into my video, and those who support this channel with their hard-earned money. We start with our YouTube members, the Con Family and the Con Father, a title we grant to the person who gifts the most memberships each month. For July, our Con Father was Julian Canoto 15, who gifted 90 memberships. And then come my Patreons. We thank them as follows: Our Amateur Racers, Professional Racers, and world champions. Lined up, See What Happens Racing UK, Sander Ekiselli, Enzo Lassinieri, Hunter Kaufman, Josh Big, Lonnie Murray, Thijs Kamp, Espriel, Scott Miller, and Outside. If you want to join these wonderful people, you can do so at www.patreon.com/yellowbird.it. You will receive early access to my videos along with a special role on my Discord server. I make videos and stream for a living, so your support is invaluable to me. I cannot thank you enough for your support and patience. With that said, I hope to see you soon, either on my next stream or video. If you haven't left a like, now's the last chance to do so, or leave a dislike if you got nothing else to do with your life. Take care and bye for now.